Okay, welcome to DGen. Welcome to DGen MMA Bets, DGen Bets MMA, whatever I've got it written down as. I don't know what the name is, but I know that I'm a degenerate gambler. But the goal is to become a generate gambler and generate income and wealth. And so let's talk about what my strategy is in my channel. Today is Wednesday before UFC 300. Um, Yeah, UFC 300. And we've got an amazing card. So here's my strategy. Ready? Last week, if you would have picked in a parlay, put $1 down, a $1 parlay, if you would have picked all of the winners, okay, I don't have it in front of me. I did it a while ago. You'd have turned $1 into $2,300. So my strategy is to, you call it what you want. It's like $1 bingo cards, $1 bingo cards, or lottery tickets, MMA lottery tickets, whatever you know. And so let me talk about today's Wednesday. I'm planning on doing more work for this one. I've been doing work, but this one I feel like I'm doing more work for this one. So we're going to talk about what I like for bets. We're going to talk about what I've done and everything. So the strategy here is, so here's what I've done. I've listened to 17 different podcasters and gotten all their picks and wrote them all down, right? I've got Expert MMA, Kunath, By the Numbers, Betting Pro, We Want Picks, Blood Money MMA, MMA Guru, Maddie Betts, Gilbert Burns, Money Moicano, MMA Weasel, Alexander Volkanovski, MMA Fortune Teller, MMA Joey, and Johnny K. These are the names. I do YouTube search. Some of the people I go back to, for example, the Show Me the Money podcast, I like a lot. Volk is Volk. I don't. This is my first time really relying on players and finding these players and having their picks out there. We'll see. I wrote them down. We'll see how players are at forecasting, or if they run towards favorites, because every player has a style and a perception on fighting. So we'll see if players are more or less biased. But one thing that I want to mention. The reason why I went through, first, I listened to all the YouTube channels. I listened to 17 different opinions on every single fight, and I wrote them down. And the way that I do it is, one interesting thing to note is amongst all 17 of these people, not one of them saw the fight card playing out in the same fashion. For example, right? And we'll talk about my betting. So what I do is, after I've figured out all of them, I'll enter all their picks into a parlay, and I'll put $1 down. So Expert MMA's picks will win me $361. Kunath will win me $2,981. I didn't pick this by KO by points. It's just things that I want to keep note of. And By the Numbers would give me $671, and Guru $4,210. You see, so, and I've put $1 down for each of these picks, so I have 17 educated or semi-educated opinions on how these fight cards will come out. Coincidentally, that means, because this fight card, the first fight amongst all these opinions, Figueiredo is a heavy favorite, I'll end up having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'll just right away, just based on my MMA, my lottery card system, what was that, $12 that I'll have on Figueiredo. I keep my unit size small for now, about $10. So just by default, I'm putting a unit on Figueiredo to win, and I'm not upset with that. The odds are not great, but I'm not upset with that. Understanding this is a parlay, That being said, I do have 2 on Garbrandt. So let's talk about where the strategy comes into play, and it's not entirely luck. Here's what I like for this. I like over 1.5. If I had to pick, I pick Figueiredo. But since I've already got $12 on Figueiredo, most of my parlays that I'm choosing, that's me. I guess I'm DGen MMA. I like the over 1.5. When I watch Garbrandt fight, okay, let me give you an example for why, right? So when I go through, I'm going to have my picks after weigh-ins. I do not finalize my picks until after weigh-ins. This is so important. I'm not an expert at reading weigh-ins, but it's so important to watch the weigh-ins. It's so important. It's like if this was NASCAR or something like that, it would be like, okay, now we're going to do public inspection of the cars, and you go look, and there's just like the car is just not the way condition it should be in. You're like, oh, that person's not going to win. You get what I'm saying? So I don't put my bets in until after weigh-ins. That being said, when you watch Cody Garbrandt, he just does this weird, like, super, like, unnecessary footwork around the outside, completely out of range of everybody. And I think because both of these fighters are towards the end of their career, the pressure's on to really be calculated with their moves. That's why I like this for over 1.5. I wouldn't be surprised if Cody Garbrandt gets it done at some point in time, though. That's why I like the over 1.5, knowing that the favorite here for Figueiredo, I've already got $12 down into the parlays, right? So that's my strategy. Hoping to make some money on these parlays without even thinking. I mean, think about this. If I put down $15 per UFC event, it's really not that much money. It's like, $500 a year. So if I hit one of these in a year, then I'm good. If I hit 2 of these in a year, I'm still good. 1 of these, I'm good. So I'm gonna see in 1 year, in 1 year, right? This is an experiment. 1 year worth of MMA, starting at UFC 300. How many of these lottery ticket bingo cards, MMA bingo cards, $1 bingo cards can I win with? Can I hit in 1 year's time? Let's experiment. How much is it going to cost me? Well, look, it's going to cost me, because I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. It's just how much a piece of paper. I'm going to try to do about 16. It's a lot of work, but I'm going to try to do about 16 opinions per fight. I haven't even begun to do any research. I have done research on some fighters, right? Some fighters are fresh in our minds. I've done research on some fights. So now, this is going to be a long video because this is my first video. So now I'm going to do... I haven't figured out how I'm going to do this channel. I think on Wednesday, after I've done the first half of my research. I haven't watched any tape yet. When I watch tape, I go through, and I typically watch the 3 most recent fights of every fighter on the card. I've been doing that for almost a month now. More than a month. The 3 most... And then, for example, last week... Chris Curtis versus Brendan Allen, their fight was several fights back. I went and I watched that a few times. So that's from now till weigh-ins, I'm going to be watching tape and then really going through and figuring out how I want to make money on this card. And I think I've got some ideas. Let's see. Already I've got some ideas, right? I've already discussed, I like the over 1.5 for Figueiredo. I'm on the Diego Lopez hype train. The Bo Nickel, everybody's going Bo Nickel, and he's negative 3,000. There's no point in putting him in a parlay. You get an extra, no. I like it does not go to points. I really like that. But then in my parlay pieces, my lottery tickets, I'm also going to be using the overs. I'll discuss this later. But this is just some of the opinions that I've come to so far. They're apt to change. And obviously, Potan to win. Potan is my most successful bet so far in my MMA betting history. did not bet. When he lost versus Izzy, I did not bet against him. I just chose not to bet. But every other time that he's fought, I have been correct. So, let's talk about the bets. Obviously, my lock of the week. I think on Wednesdays I'm going to be doing lock of the week. I think by Wednesday I'll have a pretty good idea of my lock of the week. And that is Poatan Alex Pereira over Jamal Sweet Dreams Hill. I like Alex by KO in points, more by KO than points for this fight. And I'll talk about this why. So I think Alex is good for KO anytime after the third round, late second round. Obviously, anytime actually, but I'll explain why this is going to be KO in really good end of the third, end of the second, third, fourth, and then I don't really see it going to fifth. But where Hill's going to have success, his stance switch, his roundhouse, and his teeps, might keep Alex guessing. Not really establishing the dominance the way that Alex typically does. Jamal Hill has a very good 1-2, and he uses his range to its fullest extent. He really likes using his rear hand uppercut, and really good with the knees. These are the dangers that Jamal Hill possesses. He's a little bit unpredictable, a little bit unorthodox. He's athletic, but he's flat-footed, wide-stanced, hands down, bad cardio, and I think that at the end, Poatan gets it done. I don't think they're the same caliber fighter. So, I look around. I'm going to talk about my betting strategy in a second. But I look around and I see I see people picking Hill by KO in like the first or second round. Or they're picking Hill by points. Or Poatan by points. Too many people, in my opinion, are picking this fight to go to points. I'll explain why I don't like this to go to points. I agree. People who think that there's going to be an early knockout, I don't really agree with. Hill has his chance to etch out his place in combat sports forever by being the guy who took out Alex Pereira. Other than Izzy, right? Which is kind of like one of those forgivable things because it's other than that, Poatan has a perfect record in mixed martial arts. And if Hill puts a blemish on his career, Hill will just cement himself out. He's taking this fight seriously. And so he's not going to rush in. But also, due to the fact that he's not going to rush in, I run the scenario through my head. And people are assuming that in round 5, Hill is going to be up 3-1. And Poatan is going to have to chase Hill around the octagon. Or Hill is going to wrestle for 3 rounds. I just don't see any of that happening. That's why I don't see Hill by points. I hope that makes sense to people. Hill has cardio issues. I think Hill has a chance to win by points if he can hurt Alex. But then when does Hill get a chance to really hurt Alex? I think it's that second round, late first round, that second round spot where Hill is most likely to get the KO if he's going to get it, in my opinion. Then you got the 5th round. If this goes to 5 rounds, Hill's probably going for the knockout, the star-studded finish. Hill KO 5. I think those are the times where I don't think Hill by points, I don't think Hill by points. So my lock of the week is Poatan over Hill, for sure. My hype pick of the week, Diego Lopez. Diego Lopez, what did he have? He had the finish over Tucker. What was it? Tucker, I think Tanker Tucker, whatever his name was. He had that armbar. He pulled guard. He just jumped guard in the middle of the octagon and finished the armbar. He did it so well. Then he had the knockout over Sabatini. And look, he's reckless. Diego Lopez is reckless on the feet. That's why I'm on the hype train. I'm not saying he's going to win. He just runs in like a charge in 1-2 and then ducks and then goes for the grapple. He's like he's gonna win one way or the other, and he's got a chin, so hopefully he doesn't lose. If he'll just fall to the back, pray that he regains consciousness, and grab a leg, and then just rip somebody's limbs up. I like it. And then I'm always gonna bet on Money Moicano no matter what. He's hungry. I'll tell you what, he's got the Bitcoin bug. I remember back in the days when I had the Bitcoin bug, when I was skipping lunch, when everybody was going to Wendy's for lunch. I had a $2 bag of trail mix in my pocket and an apple in the truck, and I was skipping lunch and working. I remember how hungry I was, and Money Mike's got the Bitcoin bug. So I like Money Mike, Lopez, and Potan in a parlay. It's gonna be around plus 765. That's what I locked it in as. I'm just throwing $10 down for now, right? Again, I said no bets till weigh-ins, but I do throw in a few bets here and there. I keep my unit size 10. My bet size, I keep my bet size quite small for now. And I want to talk about some real betting strategies. Here we go. Ignore that stuff. These are just some fun ones that I have, like Oliveira sub. These are some weird parlays, like Oliveira sub in the third. Potan versus Hill ends inside the distance. Rockchick KO by the 2, and Nickel versus Brundage ends in a KO. I put $1 down. It'll pay me $700. This is DGen MMA, guys. I'm a degenerate. Okay. Garbrandt KO in the third. Remember I said Figgy, but I've got Garbrandt KO in the third. Miller by KO in the sub. Rockchick, Rodriguez, and then Potan versus Hill goes over 1.5 rounds. This is actually my favorite, Potan versus Hill. We'll talk about that in a second. Home by points. Everybody's sleeping on it. Qatar by KO. Rockchick by points. Holloway by KO. Potan, Lopez, and Jim Miller to pay out $6,519. $1 down. I can't quite. This is Brundage to win at plus 1,000 or something like that. Moicano by sub. Miller by KO. Oliveira and Potan to win. And that's $1 into 2,000. So those are my I just have these weird. I just throw some situations out there when I look at the pluses and the minus, and I see some pluses that I can't resist. There you go. Will the fight? So here's my next. Here's some of the 3 parlays that I've put down so far, and I want to explain why I like this. I've already explained why I like Potan versus Hill over 1.5 rounds. I can't believe that the bookies have put this in there. What do they know that I don't know? Because this is where I feel like putting a good amount of my money. Potan style. You chop down the tree before you knock it down. Leg kicks. Not saying that he's not going to run out there full steam. And it's not a bad strategy to run out there and pretend to be gathering data for about 15 seconds and then go for a knockout because it just, changing tempo. But other than that surprise, like first 30 seconds, like boom, 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 boom. I don't really see this fight ending early. And that's for both sides. Because I already told you that Hill really is taking this fight seriously. If Hill can win this fight, he goes from being like, making maybe a million, maybe 2 million in his career to like millions in his career. This is a big fight for Hill. So he's not going to rush out there, but don't be surprised if either fighter go out and try and hit a home run in the first inning. So what do I like? I like Potan versus Hill over 1.5 rounds, and then you ready? Some of the insurance that I'm looking at is, will the fight go the distance? No. However, it's negative 410, so I'm trying to insure myself. Like I said, I don't see this fight going to points. I don't see a situation where Jamal Hill is able to maintain a high enough technical fight to make it to the 5th round and be up on points. I think that, yeah, it's in my opinion. You never know. That's why I've got this going over 1.5 rounds. Hey, if it goes to points, I don't care. But my insurance for this, will this fight go the distance? No. If there's a knockout early on, I'm covered. Now, if there's a knockout when I think Poatan is really live in the 3rd and the 4th, especially the 3rd to get a KO, it doesn't go the distance, I can hit both. I can hit my money play and my insurance play. So over the next 3 days, I'm going to figure out exactly how I want to play this. But for now, I've put $10, $10, right? Poatan versus Hill over 1.5 rounds. Then, okay, if you look at the betting lines, Bo Nickel by points is plus 700. Okay, I like Bo Nickel to finish inside the distance, but those odds are negative 500 or something like that. So I get maybe a plus 105, 105, 110, something like that. Bo Nickel by sub and points is plus. I can get plus 100 on Bo Nickel. I think this is like one of the only ways to play it safely. Bo Nickel by sub and points, Bo Nickel by KO and points. You could do the sub and KO if you really want, but it's like negative 700 or something like that. Better than negative 3,000, but negative 700 you can't. So then I've got Zhang in a parlay, Weili Zhang. $10 gives you plus 2111. The next one I've got, instead of sub points, we got KO points. Man, if this goes to points, I'm good, but either one I'm hoping to hit. That's why I've got 10 and 10, you know. And I've got Yan versus Zhang inside the distance. It's a 5-round fight with finishers. Obviously, I spoke about the Poatan Lopez Marcano with the fight going that distance. Now, last but not least, this is DGen MMA. I've told you once, I've told you before. When I see numbers like plus 2,000, plus 11,000, plus 14,000, Cody Brundage, if you can pick him to finish either KO or sub, and you pick the round, it's plus 5,000. So Poatan submission 3 and 4. Jamal Hill goes for a lazy takedown, trying to secure a points win, and people just don't know that Poatan trains every day in a very high level jiu-jitsu gym. And the reason why I talk about this is Jamal Hill will be switching stances when he realizes that he doesn't get the success that he's looking for from his southpaw stance, because Poatan's sparring partner happens to be a southpaw. So it's not something that's foreign to him. He's going to match up very well against this fight. Potan's the lock. We're going for parlays. Over 1.5 rounds. It doesn't go the distance. Sprinkle in a little bit of DGen submissions. Bear with me as I... now it's on to watching footage and the weigh-ins, and let's see what type of news and gossip and events unfold between now and then.